Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Saturday. I hope the weekend is starting very well, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Starting off with one of those apologies you all seem to love, but you can probably hear my voice is a little bit croaky at the moment, but I'm going to try and stumble my way through this. I think I'm still feeling the effects of celebrating that Ollie Watkins last-minute winner for England on Wednesday, combined with a couple of very late nights since then. Thanks to my delightful children who are refusing to sleep at the moment. The voice is taking a bit of a battering, but I shall get through it. Still plenty to discuss today. Mikel Arteta has been given an interview to Arsenal.com over in Marbella. And some interesting stuff actually from Arteta. So I wanted to talk about that. He's talked about the transfer and the difficulties that Arsenal and others are facing at the moment. But he has kind of vowed that Arsenal are going to do what they can to make sure they have a very strong window. So look what he had to say about that. Some really interesting stuff from him as well. I thought about players coming back at different times during the summer and how Arsenal are trying to work around that to ensure that everyone still makes it to the start of the season in the best shape possible. We'll talk about a couple of sort of transfer things that are doing the rounds. Obviously, Nuno Tavares and Sammy Lokonga now very, very close, or by the time you're even watching this, maybe even confirmed that they have left Arsenal. So we'll talk about them, the ongoing discussions with Ajax over Tommy Setford as well. Goalkeepers, the goalkeeping unit, department, whatever you want to call it, certainly having a big shake-up this summer, it seems. So plenty to talk about. And we'll start with what Mikel Arteta has been saying. Now, do get over to Arsenal.com where you can see pretty much the full, you can see the full video interview with Arteta, but it was some really interesting stuff. This is what he had to say about the summer transfer window and the work that him and Edu and the club are doing at the moment. He says a very different summer with the Euros and Copa America. It is different. I think you can tell everything is a bit slower. I think the market and the new rules in place have caused the new rules in place have caused that clubs are more aware and it's a bit more delicate to do business in the way we've done in the last few seasons. We have adapted to that and we still want to deliver what we want in the transfer window to have a much more competitive team to improve the squad in every area that we can. I think, look, it's pretty obvious that the big two tournaments, and we thought it would happen, the big two tournaments have had a disruptive effect on the start to the transfer window, and not too much has really happened, but things are starting. Look, before I started recording this video, it seems that Amadou Onana, a player Arsenal have been linked with in the past, of course, looks like he's on his way to Aston Villa in a potential £50 million deal. David Ornstein was reporting that earlier today. And those sort of moves now, those sort of transfers, relatively big ones in terms of money, are beginning to happen now that we're virtually at the end of the Euros. Obviously, just Sunday's final to go. And I think we'll see a lot of movement happen once the Euros is over and the Copa America is coming to an end as well. And as Mikel says, look, Arsenal are trying to adapt to it and they still want to deliver what we want in the transfer window. And I'm sure, and I've said it all along, I really think by the end of this window, when it does close, I think Arsenal are certainly going to be looking a lot stronger than they are now. I do expect them to do business. It's not been easy, clearly, but plenty's going on, and I'm sure they will get the job done and will make the squad stronger. So that's what he's had to say about the transfer window. Let me know what you guys think about that. This is what he had to say about how they're kind of managing the pre-season plans in terms of getting everyone back fit because of the staggered times that people are going to start coming back because of the international tournaments. He said, look, the players who arrive first are going to set the tone for the ones that are coming back later, because we have 4 different groups coming at different stages in pre-season, and they really have to feel that. There's not a lot I can tell them. They know they are really good and that we were good enough to win it last season. But there are certain margins and certain things that sometimes are not tangible that are necessary to win. For me, the best thing is when they come here on the first day and when they look at us, when they see the attitude and when they see the preparation, when they hear the words that we are using to start the preparation for this season, they go, wow, this is going to go up a level again. So what we did last season is not going to be enough. If I want to play and I want to be competing in this team, I'm going to have to do something extra. Now, I thought these were really interesting. The whole summer so far, the fact that this whole early pre-season that Arsenal have done over in Marbella and getting the players who weren't on international duty together to really start working, it's all geared towards starting the season as well as possible. Mikel Arteta was so disappointed missing out on the title last season. As he said plenty of times, Arsenal were good enough to win the title. As he said here, they were good enough. What they did was good enough to win the title normally, but it still wasn't enough last season because of Manchester City. Arsenal set so many records in terms of the standards they set last season, but it still wasn't enough. So Arteta would have gone away in the summer like, right, how do we do that? Because to be even better again this coming season, they're going to have to break the records that they broke last season, really, you would imagine, to win any chance at least. So how do Arsenal get better this coming season? You just look at what happened last season. It's like, well, you start the season better because Arsenal were a little bit hit and miss going up to December. There were some good results, but there were some poor results as well, some stupid drop points. And when you dissect the season, yes, you can go to the Aston Villa game towards the end because that was basically the only game they didn't win in about 4 months or whatever it was. But I mean, that's just one game. Where Arsenal came up short last season was the start, the first half of the season where they dropped too many unnecessary points. And I thought it's just really obvious everything that they're doing this summer, what Arteta's talking about here in terms of setting the standards now for the players who are here now, for the ones that then come back later and come into the squad and see the standards that are being set. It's all geared up towards starting the season early. Everything I hear and I've seen, everything I've heard Mikel Arteta talk about and the other players talk about, it seems to me that there is just such a huge focus on starting this season well. And that, I think, is the message that he sent out there to the other players who aren't back yet, who will be coming back later during the summer, is that when they come back, they are going to find a squad of players who are already there and have been there for a while, who are determined to start the season as well as they possibly can. I mean, you've got the added importance of the fact that the fixtures at the start of the season are very, very tough, especially those away games. So Arsenal have to hit the ground running. And I was just reading these quotes, and there's more of them. So as I said, go over and watch the video from Arteta. I just think it was really, really revealing what we've seen and heard so far from Arsenal. Everything coming out of the Arsenal camp, just absolute focus is on starting this season so well and ensuring that they are right there and trying to sort of get an early advantage over the likes of Man City and anyone else who might well be involved in this coming title race. Right, transfer roundup time. Albert Sambi Lokonga. Obviously, he is now very, very close to moving to Seville. It's not been announced yet, but everything has been agreed. There is no mandatory purchase option in this loan deal. So if he is going to leave on a permanent basis, then Sevilla are going to have to take up an option next summer to do that. Arsenal obviously hopeful that will happen. I look at it and think, is that really going to happen? I don't know. When you look at how Sevilla tend to operate in the loan market, past history suggests they don't turn many of their loan moves permanent. I hope they do this time because obviously I think it's about 12 million euros that Arsenal will get for Sambi Lokonga, which isn't too bad. You know, they're taking a bit of a hit on him, but to be honest, they've already been, you know, in terms of accounting now, it'll go down as profit now because they've already paid off like 3 years worth of installments for Sambi. So and I just think that the position they're never going to get too much for Sambi, I don't think, especially selling him abroad or striking a deal with him abroad. So 12 million is not too bad. But I do wonder if that's going to be turned permanent. Like I said, and it's just a hunch. And certainly seeing how Sevilla have used the loan market before, they don't tend to make too many of these loan moves permanent. So we'll wait and see on that. But I think it's a good move for him on a whole. Anyway, I think he'll suit La Liga and hopefully he can have a good spell there. And even if he doesn't end up going to Sevilla at the end of it, he plays well enough to secure himself a move somewhere else. So that's going to happen very, very soon. And so is Nuno Tavares. Now, this one has got a mandatory purchase option on it. It's going to be about 7 million euros that Arsenal are going to get next season from Lazio for Nuno. Both deals have got sell-on clauses involved in them as well. So if Sevilla do take up the option of Sambi and turn that permanent, then Arsenal would have a 25% sell-on clause for any future transfer. Nuno, it's a little bit lower. I think it's around 20% that they will get for Nuno should he move on from Lazio. And I've said before, I think this is a good deal again for Arsenal when it comes to Nuno Tavares. You know, basically got their money back on him, maybe take a little bit of a financial hit on it, but you know, I just think it's a decent move for them. So those two are very, very close to happening. I wouldn't be surprised if we get confirmation of those two happening by at least the end of the weekend. Elsewhere, this is an interesting one. The whole goalkeeping situation is very interesting at Arsenal. There's a big shake-up going on. Actually, if I retweeted yesterday, if you haven't read it, go over and find Gunner blog. James McNicholas did a really good piece for The Athletic on the sort of shake-up that is happening right now at the Arsenal with the Arsenal goalkeepers. Obviously, we know that there's interest in Dan Bentley as a third choice. Juan Garcia is a player they're looking at for a potential second choice. And there also obviously a big shake-up going on in the academy setup when it comes to goalkeepers. We've had who's gone. God, all the players' names escape me. James Hilson went. Ajaria went. So a few of the younger academy goalkeepers have left Arsenal, and they're looking to bring them in. We've already seen the guy come in from, it was Norway, wasn't it? Was it Norway? Was it Denmark? A goalkeeper signed, and Tommy Setford. Arsenal in talks with Ajax over a deal for him. England under-20s goalkeeper as well. So we're going to have a complete change basically in terms of the goalkeeping setup at Arsenal in the academy, and also potentially in the first team with David Raya having made that move permanent as well. So lots going on when it comes to goalkeeper. And yeah, James's piece is really, really good actually in summing up in all the big changes that could potentially happen in the goalkeeper. We've got to wait and see what happens with Aaron Ramsdale, of course, after the Euros, if a deal can be found with someone that can meet Arsenal's expectations for Ramsdale. Easier said than done, but we'll see. There's plenty of time left in this transfer window for that. But Tommy Setford could well be joining. Talks ongoing with Ajax. Good young goalkeeper, obviously made his mark in the England youth team setup, and could well be adding to the academy ranks at Arsenal. Right, moving on to some questions and comments before we wrap this one up now. Angry Fetus 5892. Honestly, I need to vet some of these names before I read them out on the on the video. It says, "Hi Charles, I couldn't help but realise that we will not have a keeper for pre-season matches. Any info on who will cover temporarily?" Well, we will, because Carl Hein is obviously an Arsenal goalkeeper right now, and this loan deal that Arsenal will probably sanction at some point during the transfer window has not been sanctioned yet. So you would think certainly the sensible choice here, because as you say, it looks like certainly for the tour. I mean, I don't know about David Raya. He will want a holiday, obviously. So you'd imagine he will come back after the tour and not play any part of it. But it's not like he's played too much for Spain. So maybe he will decide, you know what, I don't need too much of a holiday. But the likely option is he will come back after the tour. Ramsdale as well, same as Raya, hasn't played any minutes, but they do deserve a holiday with their family. So you would imagine they'll come back after the tour. And that will leave Arsenal very, very short when it comes to goalkeepers. But Carl Hein is there. He has signed his new contract. The loan move that we're all expecting to happen hasn't happened yet. And you would just think the sensible option will be that Carl Hein just doesn't get sent out on loan, and he'll be Arsenal's goalkeeper for the pre-season tour in the States. And then when they come back for the Emirates, the two games at the Emirates against Leverkusen and Lyon, I would imagine that Ramsdale and Raya could well be back in the squad by that point. But I mean, it is an interesting thing to consider, really, going into a very important preseason. We know how much importance Arteta puts on the preseason games and how they build towards the start of the season, that Arsenal's senior goalkeepers are going to be nowhere to be seen. So, yeah, opportunity for Carl Hein to impress, of course, as well. Here's one from, it looks like Langa Longwayne 159. Said, "Hi, Charles. Well wishes from South Africa." Thank you very much. He said, "I found it quite interesting. A lot of people outside of Arsenal have said that Declan Rice has been terrible at the Euros. He doesn't pass the ball forward, keeps it safe, and at times hamstrings the team. In my opinion, for England, Rice is a screw that you take out, falls apart, but it doesn't look like it does much. He is absolutely crucial." Thoughts? 100%. Honestly, and Declan Rice has not been terrible in the Euros. He's been excellent in the Euros for England. And I think he's had one under par game, which was, I can't remember who it was against. I remember thinking, oh, he's looked a bit off it, but he's been left all alone. He's had different midfield partners the whole time throughout the Euros. Been left all alone. I think Mainu, when he's come into the team, has done well, but I think he's certainly left Rice completely wide open at times. And Rice has done the work of about 3 or 4 different players for England. And, you know, he's played every single minute and has looked out on his feet. But Southgate knows just how important he is. He couldn't take Declan Rice out of this team at all. As you said, you take Declan Rice out of this England team, it will fall apart very, very quickly. He is absolutely crucial to it. And I think he's had a really good Euros. I don't believe he's been terrible whatsoever. And I think the whole sort of narrative that seems to have been built up about Declan Rice, that he can't pass the ball forward and he's just defensive, passes the ball sideways and backwards, just frankly, just social media rubbish, to be honest. Is he as good as a Rodri at doing that sort of thing? Is he as good as a Thomas Partey at doing that sort of thing? No, he's not. But that's not his absolute strength, is it? He's got strengths elsewhere in his game. But he can still do it, and he can still do it well, even if he can't do it as well as some of the best midfielders in the world in that position when it comes to progressing the ball forward. So no, I think it's rubbish. I think he's had a fantastic tournament as well. And yeah, if he wasn't in that team tomorrow against Spain in the final, put it this way, I've got very little confidence in England beating Spain on Sunday. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they win it so much. I'm getting nervous just thinking about it. But should Declan Rice not be in that team, then I would have no hope whatsoever of England winning against Spain. He's that important. Yes, there's other people who get the headlines from it, but Declan Rice is that important. I have really good comments from him. I haven't seen it. I retweeted it earlier. He was doing the pre-match press conference, Declan Rice, yesterday, and he was asked if Mikel Arteta has spoken to him at all during the tournament. He said, yes, he spoke. He rang me last week. We had a good chat for about 10 minutes, which was great. It's the first time he's caught up with him since the Euros began, or since the end of last season. And then he said he texted him after the win against Holland and just said the word vamos, as we all know that Mikel likes to use. But of course, Mikel, Spanish, Declan Rice, English, going to be some sort of mixed emotions, I imagine, for Mikel, watching him and Saka and Ramsdale be part of that on Sunday. But yeah, fingers crossed for that. And we'll talk more about that game in tomorrow's show. Anyway, and that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching or for listening. Do have a very good start to your weekend, wherever you are on this world of ours. And anything you want me to talk about tomorrow, anything you've heard or disagreed with, agreed with, anything else you want me to discuss, you know what to do. Get into the comments below. I'll pull some of them together and get them included into the show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.